Welcome back to The Thread. I'm Chris Williamson alongside Julie Stewart-Binks and Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob of the Action Network. Now, Rob, we know your main activity every single night during the NBA season is to watch NBA games. What was it like seeing what happened with Rudy Gobert, the Jazz, and OKC last night?
So I'm old enough to have been alive and remember what happened. It's a completely different case, but with Magic Johnson, when it was revealed that he tested HIV positive, the quick response that happened with him withdrawing himself from the NBA, came back to the All-Star game thing, but that was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, this can never happen again. And not only did it happen again, not just to an individual, but to every individual. It's a league-wide thing. So it's just, that was a personal thing for me. The first thing that hit my mind was that. Second thing was, okay, now that it's become an NBA league-wide issue, the one player, just the one player who could not be patient zero, the first guy to test positive was Rudy Gobert, because we all saw the video of him almost daring the coronavirus to infect him and all of that, and almost emasculated it in that viral video. And this would be such a bad look for him to be the first to get it, and ultimately, he gets it, right? And the biggest thing also is, this is a New York-based show here. They played the New York Knicks about a week ago, right? The Madison Square Garden is built on top of Penn Station. So if Rudy Gobert just sneezed walking into the arena, and let's say there was a part-time worker outside of a door who probably takes public transportation. I don't mean to strike fear here, but you see why the NBA did what they did and why they had to do it.
And it's unfortunate because now that's going to be Rudy Gobert's legacy from now on. Nobody's going to care about his Defensive Player of the Year awards. It's about what he did last night or a few days ago to impact the coronavirus. Now, Julie, this is an unprecedented situation. We're seeing all these leagues suspend their seasons. We're seeing conferences cancel their tournaments, as well as the NCAA tournament. What does this mean for the sports world as a whole?
I mean, it's really crazy right now. In the last 12 hours since we did the thread the other day, it's just been a whirlwind. It's a time warp. It doesn't even feel real at this point. And I think that, you have to understand that people are going to be really upset about March Madness being canceled. You have fans like our producer, Mike Robinson, who's been waiting for Rutgers to be in the big dance for so long, and they're not going to be able to be there. And you can feel angry and you can feel upset. That is a verified feeling for you to have, but you can also understand that the gravity of the situation is bigger than sports, and that's something that we saw last night with Rudy Gobert contracting the virus, and then, in another vein, Tom Hanks having it as well. And we realize that sports and these people that we see as demigods are not immune to something like this. And so that's why, in another realm, the idea of not having fans at stadiums, first of all, we don't want big crowds of people because that's how the virus can spread. But it felt as though we don't want fans near the athletes. Athletes can still play. But no one is above it. And that's the thing that we're seeing. Trainers, players, coaches, everyone can contract it. So what do we need to do now? It's about containment. Because if you don't take this seriously, none of these cancellations mean anything right now. So what do you have to do? You really have to social distance yourself from people. You got to take the necessary precautions. But also, testing has been very underwhelming. So many of us, just regular people in their days and lives, don't know if they have the virus right now. So then we could be giving it to other people. So more people have to know what they're dealing with. We have to flatten out the curve of people also who are going to hospitals, who are getting sick from this, who are then, there's people there dealing with cancers and all these other. This is unsustainable for our environment. And this is going to cause so many ripple effects in terms of economics, in terms of finance. So what you need to do now, contain it, figure out what this means, and then we can figure out when these leagues can come back into action. Because this is a bigger issue than whether or not we're going to see the NBA in a week or two. We need to think about people's lives. There will be another basketball game. There might be someone's life lost. That's what Leonard Hamilton said earlier today.
Yeah, the thing about this for me is that hospitals are going to be overwhelmed if people do not take necessary precautions, if they are lackadaisical when it comes to this type of issue. Now, going back to your point about these seniors not being able to play in the NCAA tournament, this was their last opportunity. And for somebody that played college sports, played college football, you just hate to see something like that rip away a moment that you have been looking forward to, something that you worked all your life for, the one shining moment, and now you can't have that. And Rob, I want to ask you, do you think it would be fair if the NCAA granted another year for these athletes, for these seniors to play?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think everything's on the table at this point, and anyone watching this is probably asking, why did they use the word cancel instead of postpone? Well, a lot of either these seniors or let's use basketball as an example, are headed to the NBA draft here, and we're not sticking around for May because we want to go to the combine and get paid. So ultimately, it's a business decision, and because these athletes are amateurs, they're not being compensated. It's a completely different business decision for them. But as to what Julie just spoke to, business sure seems a lot less lower on the totem pole.
Yeah, and let's not forget that these student athletes are also students. So this is also part of a school. That's why it's not a professional organization. So classes are being canceled. Distance learning is happening. So these schools are going to be canceled. Then if you have the tournament in June, then you have to employ people that work with the school through then. There's so many different things that you have to put into this realm. Then do other spring sports that have been canceled come back into action. So as you said, everything's on the table, but it does make it more complicated if you are a student athlete.